Hello everyone, welcome to Preterist Papers. My name is Patricia and we will be looking at article number 12 entitled The Olivet Discourse Fulfilled in the First Century, Part 1. You can find this printable 2-page fact sheet on our website, preteristpapers.com. The Olivet Discourse is the term given to Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, which are roughly parallel passages where Jesus explained to the disciples the events that would happen before the day of the Lord or coming of the Son of Man. When Jesus told the disciples that not one stone of the temple would be left upon another, as young men raised in Jewish communities where the Tanakh, that is, the Old Testament, was the center of their lives, they would likely have known immediately from the book of Daniel that the destruction of the temple that Jesus was talking about signaled the end of the Mosaic age, of which the temple was the most important symbol. First century Jews had the conception of two ages, the Mosaic age and the Messianic age, also known as the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. Jesus' prophecy of the destruction of the temple was likely a sure sign to the disciples that they were on the cusp of the Messianic age. There were still almost 40 years before the temple would be destroyed, however, and Jesus wanted to let his disciples know what they would see transpire leading up to the final death blow to the Old Covenant. In point 1, Jesus spoke of all the deceiving false messiahs that would arise, and indeed, Josephus, a first-century historian, reported on the many impostors that, one after another, led huge crowds of people astray with their marvelous claims. These movements, often with political undertones, always looked like rebellions to Roman governors, who sent soldiers to break them up and arrest or kill the leaders and disperse or kill followers. In number 2, we see where Jesus warned of wars and rumors of wars. This certainly describes the period from around AD 40 to the war in 67. There was one conflict after another, increasing in frequency and intensity. By the 60s, thousands of people were being slaughtered in Jewish Gentile cities due to ethnic wars in Syrian cities and in Ptolemais, Caesarea, Tyre, and many more. Josephus reports that 50,000 Jews were killed in Alexandria alone. Take a look at number 4. Jesus was very clear that the disciples were not going to have their, quote, best life now, unquote, as some preachers promise. No, they were going to be persecuted and likely killed. And we see in the book of Acts the continual rage and murder directed at Jesus' disciples. In number 5, Jesus let the disciples know that there would be division, betrayal, and hatred during this time. Even before the crucifixion, certain Pharisees had already ruled that anyone who followed Jesus would be put out of the synagogue. This had severe consequences in livelihood and family ties. Becoming a follower of Jesus had a heavy cost, and many fell away. In point number 7, Jesus promised that the gospel would be preached to the whole world, and then the end would come. Paul stated in his letter to the Colossians in AD 62 that the gospel had been preached to the whole world. Here is where the principle of letting Scripture interpret Scripture gives us a correct understanding of the text rather than thoughtlessly interjecting a 21st century assumption into this passage. The world, to New Testament writers, was their Jewish Roman world. In point number 8, we're proposing a theory as to the meaning of the abomination that makes desolation. The abomination would have to be committed by someone from Israel, which would then incur destruction of Jerusalem. A prime candidate, in our opinion, is the actions of one Eleazar ben Ananias, who spearheaded the use of the temple for war preparations against Rome and disallowed Gentile worship of Yahweh. Again, this is a theory which needs further study. For more details, check out discussion number 20 in this series. Thank you for listening, and we will continue with part 2 of Matthew 24 in the next video. Shalom.